Hey everyone, I am Veronica at Veronica Says. Thank you for joining me for my scent and makeup of the day video. We're filming here in my bathroom where I just finished getting ready. It's a little bit late to be getting ready on a Sunday, but we had to get up, feed the kids, run some errands, do some things around the house, and here we are. It's Sunday, and I call Sundays my simple Sundays, where I try to do a more relaxed, easygoing makeup look. Except I am planning on filming a couple of videos later on, so I would say the look is simple-ish, ISH on the end. So I want to walk you through the products that I use for the makeup, but first I'm going to talk about my fragrance of the day, and it is Roma, one that I brought home on a recent haul and featured. Actually, the three-part haul that you can go check out. It was in earlier March. So this is Roma, and I think the house is named Laura Biagotti or Biagotti. So this is a very, to me, inexpensive fragrance that I found on FragranceNet just playing around. I thought the bottle was cool. In a former life, I wanted to be an architect. That was my dream job. And so I love the idea that this is a column, an architectural feature, and love the name of it, Roma. So I was intrigued by the price and the fact that I'd never heard of the house, and that when I went on Fragrantica to check out the reviews, a lot of people seemed to really like this. This is from the 80s, although apparently it has been reformulated. I never sniffed the original version, so I don't have anything to compare that to. I can tell you right away that I like this fragrance a lot. I'm not going to say that I love it, but I do like it a lot, and I'm glad that I purchased it. To me, it is very much a citrusy, powdery, fresh fragrance. It's light to me, and what I mean by that is it has a light presence. It's not a dense, heavy, thick-feeling perfume like one you would typically associate with like winter perfumes, for example. Although I do think that this would be pretty for all seasons. But to me, the main season that I associate with this would be like late spring into summer, because it's light on the skin and it's fresh. It's a fresh fragrance to me, which is interesting because if you check out the reviews on Fragrantica, they're all over the place in terms of the scent associations that people have for this. For example, one person said that it's a dry fragrance that reminds them of church incense, which I found interesting. And you know how once you hear that or read that, you then associate what you're smelling with that, and it's hard to like not make that association. So I guess I can see how someone would pick up an incensey note or a chord in here. I don't, but since I read that, I can see that. Another person said that this reminds them of like a fresh white suit, a woman in a white suit. Sorry, had to go off camera and have a bit of a cough attack there. Something got me. So I was saying that someone associates this with a woman in a fresh white suit with some little kitten heels on. And another person said that it's like a dreamy, powdery cloud to them. So the associations for this were all over the place. The notes in here are at the top, grapefruit, pink grapefruit. And I can tell you that that is what I smell in it right away when it opens. A really strong but soft, not super sharp, not like that like acrid kind of grapefruit scent, a softer, more sugary grapefruit. Mint, which I do pick up, bergamot, black currant, and hyacinth. In the middle, you've got carnation, jasmine, rose, and lily of the valley. So it does get a little bit more floral there in the middle, although I do think it's still a little bit citrusy in the middle as well. And then in the base, you've got a bunch of notes. Now, I don't know whether this is for the original formulation or the reformulation, because I don't always know if you can trust the note pyramid on Fragrantica. But here's what it says. It says that it has myrrh, amber, vanilla, sandalwood, oak moss, civet, patchouli, and musk, which would give you the impression that this is a very heavy fragrance in the base. And I just don't get that. This stays pretty light on me throughout. I've had it on for a number of hours here. It does get softer and rounder as it progresses. So it opens very citrusy and then gets more powdery and soft as it progresses. It never really projects far. So I tested that out and went downstairs and asked my family what they thought of it. And they all thought it was pleasant and nice, not particularly striking. So that's something to keep in mind. Like no one had this reaction like, oh my God, you smell amazing. But everyone said, that's a nice scent. And across the room, they couldn't smell me. And sometimes with other perfumes, they can smell me like before I even get into the room, they're like, you smell great, or you stink. Sometimes I get that reaction too. And I don't think that this has a strong sillage. So if you're looking for me, this is my opinion. If you're looking for a soft, late spring, summer scent that's citrusy and dries down into something sweet and powdery with still some citrus in it, and you want it to be soft and not, you know, knock everyone else out around you. You want something closer to the skin, and you're looking for something like that that's affordable, you may want to check out this Roma Laura Biagotti or Biagotti. If anyone knows how to say that last name, please let me know. I asked around here and no one knew. But I like it. Really glad to have this in my collection. So that's the fragrance for the day. If you just came for that portion, thanks so much for joining me. I'm going to get into what I put on my face today. I'm at the 6-minute mark, and I am going to try to be quick about this because you guys know, I'm putting my computer down over here. You guys know that I can just chatty chat. So let's see if I can do this in 5 minutes or less. Very simple look today. Of course, I heavily moisturized and then put under my eyes the Armani Power Fabric Concealer in the color 4. I have said before that this is one of my favorite concealers. It is, to me, light coverage. You can build it up. This is 2 coats, and you can still see some of my natural darker color coming out, which is fine by me. You don't always need to completely blur it out for you to have an effective concealer. It just blurs out enough that it doesn't, you know, leave me with super dark circles. And I also used it under here where I have a little bit of darker spots for discoloration. And then as a foundation, I didn't put on a whole full like liquid foundation. I used the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural, and it is a foundation powder in the color Medium Gold. Now it says finish, which would give you the idea that it's a finishing powder, but I just used it as a foundation. To do that, I did have to use a foundation brush because my usual big powder brushes were too fluffy for it. So I used something like this. This is the Sonia Kashuk large buffing brush, and just went in like that and then went in and buffed after that. So I deposited and then buffed after that. Love these. These are really great. Next, I did a little bit of contouring today. Yes, it's Simple-ish Sunday, but I'm filming later, so I wanted to zhuzh up the look just a bit so it would pick up on camera. By the way, for those of you that are interested, if you do pictures or you do film, you really want to amp up your look. You almost want to over dramatize the makeup. It's called stage makeup versus what you would do in a normal day-to-day setting, because the camera, depending on how your set and your lighting looks, may not always pick up subtle makeup. So that's why you see actors, actresses, or whatever just sort of overdone. It ends up looking more natural to the viewer on the other side, but the camera has to pick that up. And so sometimes they do like overly dramatic looks. Like if you saw them in person, you would think they probably look crazy, but it comes across well on camera. All of that to say, I'm going to do a couple of videos later and would like to not look like a total like ghost, okay? So I went in with the Natasha Denona Bronze and Glow Tan Palette. Tan Bronze and Glow, actually, it's what it's called. And what I did here, it looks like that. I used this color here as my bronzer. You can use it as a blush, but I used it as a bronzer. It's a darker brown color, and I did all around my face here and on the bottom. And then I did a little bit of this glow powder here. It has this little flap that protects the cream powder from the cream formula, rather, from the powders down here. So I, stamped my fingers in there and did a little bit around here on my cheeks, and then took a little bit of this more glowy cream and placed that on top just to give myself a little bit of highlight. I also did that right here, and then right under the eyebrow. I used this again under the eyebrow and also on the inner corner with a little brush just to give it a little bit of brightness and open up the eyes. Next, I used the Bare Minerals Bounce and Blur blush. This is in the color Coral Cloud. And I actually used the exact same brush that I used for my foundation. Dipped it in here. In fact, let's add just a little bit more because why not? And yesterday I talked about a technique from Charlotte Tilbury where you start up here and deposit most there and then zhuzh back so that you're not depositing a whole bunch right here and having those crazy like apple cheek, you know, that clown apple cheek thing going on. So little technique that I learned. On the eyes then, I actually went back into this palette just to keep it simple for Simple Sunday. And I used this color through the crease, really easy with a big fluffy brush. Just did like a whole thing right there and called it a day. On my eyelashes, I used the Pat McGrath Dark Star Mascara, which I just love. I just love. I'm going to tell you, this is sitting in my Sephora cart waiting to get repurchased. In fact, I got maybe 2 or 3 more uses out of this, and it's time to put this one in the trash can. It's been going strong for several months, and you're supposed to throw them out every 3 months or so. I just used them to the max. What can I say? I did do a little bit of eyeliner, not a lot, and I used the Urban Decay, what are you called? Glide On Eye Pencil in the color Torch, which is actually not a traditional eyeliner color. It's more like the color of my lips, except I put that on the top of the eyes there. I lined the bottom with that same powder from here. I used a little smudger brush and just ran that under my eyes just to give it a little bit of dimension without going a little crazy, or going too crazy rather. On the lips, I also have an Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On pencil, but for lips, and this is in the color Uptight, which looks a lot like the color of my lips here, and then went over that, not with the lipstick that's in the thumbnail. In fact, I put that on and I didn't like it, so I started, at least not for this look, it was a little too dark for this look, but I did go in with, and I never know how to say this, Pigalle. This is from NARS, and it's in the matte formula. Really pretty color. If you like Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk is what it's called. This is like Pillow Talk with a little hint of additional warmth. The Pillow Talk is more like a pinky color. This is more like a warm tone color that I think, at least for me and my skin tone, is more of a Your Lips But Better kind of look. So that's what you got. And it's gone away now, but I did use a little bit of the ColourPop So Juicy lip gloss. It's right there in the middle. Gives it just a tiny bit of pop if you're looking for that. And I think that's all the products that I used. And so that may seem like a lot to some of you, especially if you're not one that likes to apply a lot of makeup. But to me, this is a simple look for me. Oh, I am so lying to you guys. I did do one other key thing, which I don't usually do on Sundays, and that's that I did my eyebrows so that they don't look too ghostly on camera later on. I did fill in a little bit here and dragged it out to the edge. And only because I am filming later, I did put the Urban Decay All Nighter on, and I will probably have to touch up the powder before I film maybe like the second video in a few hours. So how did I do on time? I'm at just about 14 minutes. Usually I go way into the 25 to 30 minute mark on these videos. So hope you appreciate the brevity of this. And I will be posting later on today a Sephora recommendations. They have the spring sale coming up in April. I'm a big fan of the Sephora sale. I'm going to do a recommendations series. So you'll see part 1 today, which I actually filmed yesterday. And I'm going to be filming I filmed part 2 yesterday too, and I'm going to be filming part 3 and 4 today for release later in the week. So if you're interested in my product recommendations for the Sephora sale, they will be products that are from my actual collection or that I have thoroughly tried out and feel very comfortable recommending that you spend your hard-earned money on. Hope you check those out. Have a wonderful, simple, fabulous Sunday or whatever day of the week it is that you are viewing this. If you're new, I hope you subscribe. And if you're returning, thank you for hanging out with me again. Take care, my sweet friends.